Double data rate (DDR) iterations. Think of double data rate, or DDR, as the evolution of the superhighway that carries data between your CPU and your memory. The term double data rate comes from a clever trick in electrical engineering. In older memory, data was only sent once per clock cycle, specifically on the rising edge of the electronic beat. DDR doubled the speed by sending data on both the rising and the falling edge of that beat. As you prepare for your A+ exam and look toward your CIS studies, you must understand that each new iteration of DDR isn't just faster. Each version represents a massive leap in bandwidth, a reduction in power consumption, and a complete change in physical compatibility. DDR3, the reliable legacy. DDR3 was the king of the computing world for nearly a decade. If you are refurbishing an older laptop or picking up a used server for your home lab, you will still see a lot of this. The specs: it typically operates between 800 and 2100 megatransfers per second. Power: it requires 1.5 volts of electricity to operate. This seems small, but in the world of mobile computing, every millivolt counts for battery life. The notch, the physical key, notch is located toward the left side of the module. For the exam, remember that DDR3 was the first to introduce L variants. Like DDR3L, the L stands for low voltage. These modules can run on just 1.35 volts, which was a huge deal for extending the battery life of early thin-and-light laptops. DDR4, the modern workhorse. DDR4 is the current standard you'll find in most modern PCs today, including the Intel i7 system you're running in NYC. The specs: it pushed speeds significantly higher, starting at 2100 and reaching well over 3200 megatransfers per second. Power: it is much more efficient than its predecessor, requiring only 1.2 volts. The pins: on a desktop DIMM, the pin count jumped from 240 up to 288 pins. The most interesting physical characteristic of DDR4 is that the bottom edge of the module is not perfectly flat. It has a very slight curve or slope. This isn't for aerodynamics. It's a mechanical design that makes it easier to insert the module into the slot and reduces the pressure needed to seat all 288 pins. DDR5, the cutting edge. DDR5 is the newest iteration, designed specifically to handle the massive data requirements of modern AI processing and intense multitasking. The specs: it effectively doubles the bandwidth of DDR4, with speeds starting at 4800 megatransfers per second and climbing much higher. Power management: this is the biggest architectural change. On previous versions, the motherboard managed the RAM's power. On DDR5, the power management circuitry, the PMIC, is located directly on the RAM stick itself. This allows for much more precise control and stability at high speeds. Capacity: DDR5 is built to support much higher densities. In the future, this technology will allow for single sticks of RAM that hold up to 128 gigabytes. Crucial exam comparisons: the must-knows. As a technician, you must have these 3 rules locked in. 0 forward or backward compatibility. You cannot plug DDR4 into a DDR5 slot. The physical notches are in different places specifically to prevent you from trying. Even if you could force it in, the voltages and internal architectures are so different that it would likely result in permanent hardware damage. Clock speed versus megatransfers. While we often say 3000 megahertz, the exam might use the more accurate term megatransfers per second, MT per S. Because DDR transfers data twice per clock cycle, the effective speed is double the actual clock frequency. Module naming: pay attention to the labels. A module labeled DDR4 3200 refers to its transfer speed, 3200 megatransfers. However, if the label starts with PC, like PC4 25600, It is referring to the total bandwidth in megabytes per second. To find the transfer speed, just divide that PC number by 8. By mastering these iterations, you'll be able to identify exactly what hardware you're working with just by looking at the label or the physical notch. Ensuring your upgrades are always compatible and your troubleshooting is precise.